You talked about the rake. Can you describe the rake?
Yeah, I mean, I was a rake. I'm what you call a reformed rake, so I can speak from experience on that. And basically, my years of being a rake were in my 20s and pretty much early 30s, and then I stopped. But the rake is a man who has an intense interest in women. He understands them deeply. He's obsessed with women, and perhaps it comes from something relationship going with his mother. We can analyze that as well. But he has this obsessive interest in them. He understands their spirit. He finds it very exciting to be around them. But one woman can never satisfy him. The only way he can get satisfaction is by constantly having new women in his life. That's how he satisfies this hunger, because the moment that a woman becomes familiar, it kind of loses the edge that he wants. He's kind of like a hunter. He loves the process of hunting the woman, of seducing her, of getting her to fall for him. And in those first few weeks, he showers her with attention. That's his power. He love bombs them. He's so he's so excited about their world. He gives them gifts that show he's thinking about them. He takes them to exciting places. It's irresistible, right? And but the thing is, it can't last because he has to continually spread the wealth. He has to continually find new people to conquer. And in the book, I kind of profile some of the greatest rakes who ever lived, and one of them is the great classic Hollywood actor Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn was this devilishly handsome man that didn't hurt, but he was also, in the end, people claimed that he had seduced or slept with about 3,000 women. And he died when he was 51, 52 from alcoholism. And
Oh,
so when I wrote the book, I kind of did the math on that. And the math was rather insane. It was like at some point he had to be seducing a new woman every other day, something like that. And I was trying to figure out what was his secret. What made him so insanely seductive to women of all types, actresses, waitresses, you name it. Of course, being Errol Flynn and having his reputation helped, but he also had a devilish edge that kind of scared a lot of women. But I read in one book that just being around, he was so comfortable with himself. He was so non-defensive. He was like an animal that was completely comfortable in his body. And it made the woman completely relax. This one woman said,
yeah.
I felt like I had drunk a couple of martinis and I hadn't, just by being around him, you know? And so the rake has this kind of undefensive quality. He's like this natural animal that exudes this energy, kind of like how the siren is. So that's sort of what a rake is.
That was awesome.
Oh, thank
Okay,
you.
cool. Okay, so I was going to ask what the equivalent of that was for a woman, but you're saying the siren, kind of.
Yes, yeah, definitely the siren. I mean, you can't really have a male siren, and you really can't have a
Yeah.
female rake. I mean, I do profile in that section probably the greatest lesbian seductress who ever lived, Natalie Barney, who was kind of a poet and writer in the early 20th century. And she was the closest equivalent I could come to a female rake, because she was seducing women left, right, and center, and she had a little bit of that presence. But normally it's something that's pretty specific to men and women.
Okay. That description was amazing. Can I get you to do one more? That was
Sure.
amazing. Okay, I
Anyone?
want yeah, and another I guess seductive type.
Do you want me to list what the other ones are?
Yeah, yeah.
So we
That was
already
too
talked about.
cool. We need to do more.
Well, that was the dandy I already mentioned. The natural, which is the one who's kind of like a child. Then there's the coquette, blows hot and cold, very very powerful seductress. There's the charmer, who's very good at sort of social seductions. There's the star, the person who kind of exudes kind of like a film star presence that makes everyone project their fantasies onto him or her. And there's the charismatic, somebody who just has that natural charisma. I can't think if I'm leaving somebody. Oh, the ideal lover. Those are
Okay.
the other seven types. So you choose whichever one you want.
Okay. What was you said there was one where you project your ideal lover on them?
Well, the star is sort of this person. I use as the example, the woman is Marlene Dietrich, and the man was John F. Kennedy, excuse me, President John F. Kennedy. And what it is they've learned the Hollywood technique. And for Marlene Dietrich, it was clearly, a film thing that she had learned, was you have a kind of blankness to you. You're not too obvious in what you say and what you do. You're not overtly this way or that way. You have a kind of an emptiness to your face, to your blankness, to how you move. And you allow people, you don't talk too much, and you allow people to project onto you their fantasies. They see into you what they want to see into you. Whereas if you kind of say who you are and you're too direct, they have a mysterious air about them. And John F. Kennedy, he was obsessed with Hollywood. This is something people don't understand or know very well. He was obsessed with Hollywood. He was obsessed with film stars. And his favorite film star from the classic age of Hollywood was Montgomery Clift, very handsome young man from the late 40s, early 50s. And he modeled his whole persona after Montgomery Clift, that kind of silent machismo that he exuded, that kind of certain look in his eye that Montgomery Clift had. And it was immensely powerful, as we saw in the election in 1960, where so many people saw into him what they wanted to see, and he disguised the reality. He disguised the reality that he was actually a man in his 40s who was physically almost crippled. He had all of these illnesses. His back was in incredible pain, but he was able to disguise all of it and project this other image. Mm. So these are the two people that I chose to kind of illustrate that.
Wow. And then
you're like I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, you're kind of like a blank screen onto which people can see what they want to see. And there's a way to do that. And I kind of describe in that chapter how you can do that.